For those who don't know me, I'm Derek Willis. I'm the technical director of Kentucky Youth Soccer. Been working with ODP for several years now. So, if you've been around our program, you've probably seen my face. Looking forward to us having a season this year. Obviously this has been a tough 2020. So glad that we have a little bit of normalcy here. Just to kind of start for today, on the screen, we have our guidelines today. Right now, I've got all of you muted. Towards the end, when we get to the question and answer section, I will allow you guys to be able to talk. Please there's a little raise your hand icon at the very top if you want to ask a questions verbally. You can also go through and type any kind of questions into the chat box. Again, please kind of wait and hold off if you do have a question, just in case we might answer it throughout the presentation. Get started here, guys. Just a few things is first, this is the beginning of our ODP season and our ODP structure. As you can see on the list, we're at the very biggest and broadest base for our tryouts and our scouting pool. From here, it kind of narrows down until we get to the National ODP Camp. Now, to give you an idea of what those numbers means is, our program had roughly about 400 players in the pool last year, and I think we had about 6 kids make National ODP Camp. So at some point, there's going to be more than likely some kind of ceiling that the kids are going to get to in a season. Whether it be at the Kentucky pool, at the state team, if they'll get the invite to regional camp, if they get the invite to the regional team events, or the National ODP Camp. This is a process where not everyone will be successful, which is okay. That's life. So just to kind of brace yourselves for that. For us, we have a couple different logistics to start for both of our tryouts, and we'll talk a little bit more about E-Town just because that's coming up this weekend. First, all the players, as the email we sent out, you need to make sure that they bring their own ball. Definitely need to have their own water. Make sure they have plenty of water. We don't have really a good resource to get more water for them, so I would rather have them bring more than what they should have had. They'll need to have, shin guards, their cleats. They'll also need to have goalkeeper equipment. If they're going to try out as a goalkeeper, we will have goalkeeper trainers there. We will have them going through some different technical things with the goalkeeper trainers throughout the practice. One thing that we want all the kids to do as well is, wear a mask. Once they get out of the car, when they get to the field, if they want to wear a mask for the whole session, they can. We might ask them to remove the mask for a quick picture for our Team Genius photo thing, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that would only be for a brief second. If they're comfortable wearing the mask, I would prefer them to wear it, but, throughout the session. But once we start playing, they can. We're going to ask all the players. We're going to try to keep them separated, through water breaks. They're going to have stations around the field that will put their stuff. We're really going to try to avoid any kind of congregation of players. Please also remind your players that, they don't need to be hanging out with their friends. This is an individual thing. For ODP is a much different program than what your club soccer, high school soccer, whatever this, your players might participate in, is that our focus is the individual and individual development. We use the team for that, but we want our ODP teams to do well, but we are more interested in our kids progressing. That's our focus. So it's, if they're there to hang out with their friends, that's fine, but we're looking for players who want to continue to strive to get better and go on their own journey. One thing that we also ask for is that all the kids wear non-club specific clothing. So, make sure they don't have any of their club shorts on that have the actual patch on or anything that can identify them as a player for that club. If they have another bag, that would be great. But I know a lot of us, including my kids, they only have the one soccer bag with their team. That's fine. The reason we do that is we don't want any kind of bias, with the coaches based on where they may play, or even an appearance of any kind of bias for that. So we just want to, try to keep everybody and select based on what they do on the field versus where they play. Now, what we're going to ask is all the players will report to their assigned fields. Okay. So we will be sending out the map probably Thursday, Friday. to show where everyone needs to be. And I'll show you the map for Elizabethtown at the end of the session here today. Versailles, we'll send out another map the following week, so that way everyone knows where they're going to be going. All the players are going to receive 2 shirts, and there's theirs to keep, but they need to make sure that they keep their shirts, and they need to keep their shirts separate from everyone else. We're doing this for a myriad of reasons, but one of the biggest ones is they're going to have numbers on them, and then that way we don't have to use training vests or pennies, as we might call them, to limit any kind of contact and possible spread there. So make sure that your players will receive a gray shirt and an orange shirt. They'll have the same number on them. Those are theirs to keep. If they show up in Versailles after going to E-Town without their shirts, they will not get another one, and they will not be allowed to train. So they need to make sure they are responsible for those. All right. For parents, typically we don't allow parents on the fields anyway, but with COVID going on, we are certainly not going to allow it. You may walk your child up to the fence to where they go into where the fields are, but you must remain outside of that area. We've got to protect our players. We've got to protect our coaching staff the best we can. So parents, once you drop your player off, you can watch from the car. You can go somewhere else. There's a track around the facility if you want to go walking around the track. Anything else, but you can't hang out at the fields. That is expressly forbidden. I will ask you to leave and go to your car. So please be aware of that. Now, depending on the age group and the number of the turnout we have, we're slotted for 3 hours. It's going to take a little bit of time to hand out the jerseys, make sure all the players have the necessary equipment to start. So we might be running a little bit, starting a little bit later than we normally would. I would advise all parents to make sure you're back at the facility roughly an hour before tryouts end. If we don't have a large turnout, we're not going to sit there and burn out the kids and get them fatigued. If we have a large turnout, we're going to probably rotate the kids so that way they're getting plenty of playing time, but also getting a little bit of rest. But make sure that you are around in the event that we decide to cut it just a little bit early based on what we're seeing. Okay, so right now this is the setup for E-Town Sports Park. If your player is attending these tryouts, as you can see, for each age group, we have their own field. Even the goalkeepers will report to their field first, and then the goalkeeper coaches will take them at different increments throughout the day for them to train. So we will come get them and manage them. So all of them will report to their field. Field 10 and 11 are the turf fields. Those are the fields up on the upper left. Those will be the 07s, 08s. And then down towards the bottom will be everyone else. Field 1 is 05s, Field 3, 2010s, Field 2, 2011s, 4 will be 09s, and 5 will be 06s, right? So make sure you could park in any of those areas. Players will just kind of walk into underneath the fence line, and we'll have coaches kind of in key spots to point kids where they need to go. All right, I'm showing this. This is U.S. soccer. Basically the 6 key qualities of a player, which is important for all of our players to know and be successful. This is the criteria that we're going to be judging the players for the weekend. Game understanding, taking the initiative, technical ability, responsibility, focus, and physical ability. Those will all be weighed for this weekend. So, the process for this weekend, and the tryouts for us as coaches is a little bit different animal than it is, say, when we are in the pool sessions. Our main focus for the tryouts is an evaluation. So there won't be a whole lot of coaching going on at this session. So if you're sitting in your car and wondering why the coaches aren't really interacting with the kids, their main focus is to get a good evaluation. We don't have a set number of kids in each pool. What we do is we kind of evaluate returning pool players that might have already gotten an invitation to join the pool for this year. We also look at what the level of the pool is. So, if we have a really talented pool, Like in the past, our 2006 boys and girls pool has been very talented group. We've had a tendency to be a little bit bigger in those age groups just because we have a lot of good players and we want to give those players opportunities. If we feel that a player is a little bit behind, the main part of the pool, that might be the time where they won't get an invitation. There's been many a time where kids who fail to make the pool one year make the pool and do very well following year. We're not saying the kids aren't good enough. We're just saying maybe they're not ready. So the coaches are trying to figure out what that level is during it. What we do for us is we use an app called Team Genius. So you might see your coaches on their phone during the tryout process. What we do with this particular program is all the kids' players' numbers will get loaded in there. Their pictures are loaded in there. So that way we have kind of a double redundancy of who the player is. Does it match up with the picture? Does it match up with the number? So that way we don't have any mistaken identity issues going on there. Not to say that may still not happen, but as we go through and the coaches are evaluating the players through the different criteria that we've set, back to the key qualities of a player. This is kind of the the different levels that they'll look at the kids. Is they'll go for not ready for pool, maybe a potential pool player, so maybe a player that's really close but not quite there yet. Then we have pool level, which that just is kind of where we stand. The state squad level is typically your top, depending on the age group, top 20 kids, top 22, 24 kids. And then the state team level are basically your top 18, 15 players in the state, according to what our coaches are. So, don't be overly shocked if your player gets, somewhere around not ready for pool, potential pool player, pool level. That'll be pretty common. What happens in our system is it actually averages the scores out. So that way we can go back and evaluate and look at what those scores are, to kind of make some decisions. Because sometimes we think a player might not be there, and then we start looking at scores, and everyone kind of said, well, that player is actually, at a good level. So we'll use that system to kind of check on our final criteria there. So what happens after tryouts? So, we have 2 weekends of tryouts. If your player is at, Elizabethtown and won't be at Versailles, that's okay. And vice versa. If they're not going to be in E-Town, but they're going to be in Versailles, that's fine. We always recommend 2 tryouts when we can. But obviously with COVID this year, we've had to push back ODP Tryouts a week later than what we normally like to. And the fact that we still have, several different leagues with our 2007 and younger players are still playing games. So we anticipate a lot of players not being able to be at both tryouts. So after the coaches look at the pools from both tryouts, we start making selections. Those selections will be sent via Demisphere, via our system. You'll get an invitation to join the pool. There will be a little button on your email that you accept or decline. We will send that out probably that Tuesday after the Versailles tryout, and we'll give you a few days to make a decision. We'd like to get the pool solidified before Thanksgiving break, if possible. So that way we can, make sure we start planning for the pool sessions coming up. Okay. If your child is not invited to join the pool, they may send me a request for an evaluation. Now, I want to be very clear on this. I said they. So I want the players to email me. Now, the next question I get a lot is, well, what if my child doesn't have an email address? That is okay. They will just need to email me from your email accounts, which is fine. You can tell when it's an 11-year-old writing an email or 12-year-old writing an email versus an adult. If your player is not as bothered by them not making the pool as you are, that's probably a sign that you shouldn't be emailing me. Okay. This is about them, is about their journey. It is okay for players to fail. This is how they learn, to push through things. I'm not interested in getting emails about, hey, my child's feelings were hurt. I have twin sons that are 08 boys that, frankly, every year we talk about if they should try out for ODP. And, this year, again, I've told them, no, they're not ready for it. So I've already cut my own children. So I don't have any qualms about, sending emails out and saying that they're not ready for it yet. Okay. Again, they're not good enough. It's maybe they're not ready yet. We have a lot of kids who end up, developing later on and do very well. We've had one of the stories I like to tell a lot is we had a player forever ago who was our third goalkeeper in our pool, and he ended up being an all-regional keeper. And the two players ahead of him in our pool ended up, one played in MLS and one is currently playing for Louisville City in USL. So, there's always chances for players to come back and do well. Okay. All right. So, as we are going through here, if I've missed something, please, ask a question. You can use the chat. I've now set it where you can unmute yourself. I prefer you guys use the question, little raise hand if you can. But otherwise, I will see everyone. They'll be in E-Town on Saturday, and then I'll look forward to seeing everyone who's not in E-Town that's coming to tryouts the following weekend for sales. So if you have any questions, this would be the time. Otherwise, thank you for your time and patience.
Hey, good morning. My name is Sebastian. Quick question. So say that one of our childs were selected for one of those groups. What type of activities would they participate afterwards? How does that part of the program works?
Good question. So I'm going to put our link into our chat here to our actual ODP page. Okay. That gives you an idea of what the calendar is. So, we have several pool sessions starting in December, every single week in December, depending on the age group. If they'll have different events they go to. Our older players will have events starting in January and then February. Our younger groups, we have, probably extra training sessions that we're trying to get a hold of. So those kind of things. So.
Hey, Derek, we've had several ask questions about the numbers for that are trying out and the pool numbers as well.
It depends on the age group, guys, on the number they're trying out. Again, we don't have a set pool number, but I'll give you an idea. A lot of the pools we like to try to keep maximum of 30, 35 at the absolute maximum. Typically for the younger age groups, we like to keep larger groups. And as they, get older, they have a tendency to whittle down a little bit more. Just that's kind of the nature of the beast. But if we have an age group that's super talented, that pool will probably be bigger. So, and I still have people registering. Registration will be back open for the Saturday, tryout and for sales next week. So I can't give you an idea of how many people are registered yet. So quite a few, a lot more than I thought there'd be. Christy, I see the question on the jerseys. No, we will have they're going to have basically these tryout shirts, and then because of COVID this year, we didn't order our Under Armour jerseys like normal because we just didn't know what was going to happen if we're going to have a season. So the players that make the pool will be getting shorts and socks from us, and then if they make the sub-regional team, they'll be getting jerseys as well. Okay, so. Yeah, all the if you don't know what the times are for the tryouts, that's all on the website. Boys are 9 to noon, girls are 1:30 to 4:30 in Elizabethtown, then it flips. Okay.
We've also had a few questions about if they've registered for both try and can't make one, what steps do they need to take to notify you?
Just send me an email. That's fine if they have one. So. Yeah, we have a couple of hands raised here. Let's see that. Hey,
Yes,
Chris Martins, if you want to have your question.
Yes, I was just curious about ongoing practices. I don't know if it depends on the age group to where all the practices are and which days they're on, but can you kind of talk to that?
Sure. So, Chris, I would, if you can, go to the link on the chat. That's got our entire calendar on there. So you can look at all the times and days are set. It just depends on boys and girls. So what we'd like to do when we can, if we have multiple turf fields, we usually start about 10 a.m. And go to about 3:30 on one day or 4, and then we flip it. So like if boys go Saturday one weekend, then we flip it to the following Sunday. But a lot of it just depends on turf availability, if that makes sense. So you really take a look at the calendar on our website, and that should answer most of it. We have a couple of different venues. So some of the venues change what we're doing. So you just have to take a look there. So
I will look. Thank you.
Yep. See, Mr. Perkins, you have a question?
I was wondering how important it is for 09, if it's different for age groups, that they attend both sessions. If we've got some conflicts that are making getting there a little bit more difficult, but if it's important for her to be there for both of those, then we can make that work.
This is always a hard one for me to answer because I always feel like I'm in trouble here, whichever way I say it. We always recommend you go to 2 because it gives us a better and more complete picture of the player. So, for example, if they have a really poor tryout one weekend, it might be good for them to go the second weekend and kind of show where they are. However, with this year, we certainly understand when you can't make both. I mean, more often than not, most people are just going to make one. So right. It's okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Bernard, you got a question?
There's a couple of questions in the chat about what the surface is at E-Town.
I'm sorry, say it again.
There's a couple of questions in the chat about what the field surface is at E-Town. I think they're wondering if they want to bring their cleats or turfs or whatever.
Yeah, you just bring it's going to be 2 of the fields of turf, rest of them are grass. Go ahead and bring your regular cleats. We will actually send out a message if we're indoors and they can't wear cleats. Otherwise, it's just their normal cleats they wear every day to training.
We've also got questions about, is there anything different with the youngest 2 age groups?
We are still trying to sort through that. So our youngest age groups is mostly a training program. What we're probably going to do is have, we always talk to Indiana, see if we can't work out something there. We'd like to get them and get a little bit of some scrimmages if we can. A lot of it depends on the other states on what they're doing. So this is always difficult when we try to schedule these things. Worst case scenario, what we'll do is we're going to have a day of 2010s versus 2011s, some different game days and things like that when we can. So with COVID going on, everything is kind of up for grabs. So we're always going to be kind of flexible with what the deal is. We're going to try to stay outside as much as we can as well. So that's affected some of our scheduling. So, Cash, you got a question?
Yeah, I think you answered it already.
Okay, great. All right, Jeremy, what else do we have in the chat going on?
We've had one ask if they only signed up for one tryout, can they still come to the second?
So I don't want anybody coming to another tryout unless you tell me first. So I'm okay if you're going to come to both, but please email me so that way I can make that note onto our spreadsheets. So that we're just trying to know exactly who is there when. So.
And the other big question is, I was going to say, the other big question is there going to be a link posted for this meeting?
Yes. So I will send out the link of the meeting when I send out just the final email for the E-Town tryout on Thursday or Friday. And then I will also send this link out next week for anybody who did not see it or who will be joining the meeting late. If that makes sense. Or registering late, excuse me.
And I believe Tisha raised her hand for a question.
Oh, all right. I missed.
Yes, I just wanted to know, when I registered, I registered for one tryout, but it said for me to come to both of the tryout weekends. So I don't know if I am misunderstanding or if I did something wrong.
No,
So
I think we always recommend you to go to both is what it is. So yeah, if you just sign up for one, that's fine. Not a problem.
Okay. Because I was going to bring her to the E-Town one as well. So I didn't, where you said to notify you first, I wanted to make sure that I gave her the best opportunity or.
Sure. Will you do me a favor and email me? And then that way I could just verify in our spreadsheets and our notes.
Okay. Sounds
All right.
great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. For anybody that needs my email and doesn't have it already, I'll put that in the chat real quick. Oops. If I don't freeze. Okay. So my email is derekwillis@kysoccer.net. If you go to our website, you can, basically find my email there. My thing is freezing, so I can't really go in there. Jeremy, you got some other questions?
We have a question about pool players going to tryouts.
So yeah, if they have been invited in, typically for those of you who have been around, typically what we do is we re-invite players into the pool that made the sub-regional team. Obviously, this year we did not have a sub-regional event, so we haven't, not the whole pool comes back. There have been some that we have seen this fall that have gotten invites. So if we haven't had eyes on you yet, you probably haven't gotten an email yet. So yeah, pool players from last year will need to come if they haven't gotten that invite. My email's in the chat now. You can register if you're wanting to register another child for this weekend. I had to reopen the registration window to 7 o'clock tonight, so you can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to reopen the registration link on Saturday evening, Sunday morning for the Versailles tryout. All right. Any further questions? All right. Well, I thank everybody for their time today. If you've got other questions that you'd like to send me via email, my email is in the chat link. It's derekwillis@kysoccer.net. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you guys in my mask at the at the tryouts. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to stop recording. If anybody wants to ask a question off the record, I'll stay on for just a little bit longer. Otherwise, see you all later. Doesn't freeze.
Dun, 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 dun.